In this video, you're going to learn how to train your eye for perfect typography by mastering tricks pro designers use to make efficient typography solutions, and also change the way you think about typography forever. Did you know your eyes can totally deceive you when it comes to typography on a design? Now, this is where we talk about optical adjustments. These are subtle tweaks designers make to letter forms to ensure they look quote-unquote right, even when they're not mathematically perfect. You see, human perception isn't ruled by logic, it's guided by harmony. And you will want to know how this works and why it is actually a game changer for you and your typography. So, take a look at this typographic logo. It looks pretty normal, right? Well, what if I told you that the O and the C have been made smaller than the standard typeface uses? And that's because by default, the O's and the C's are slightly larger than the other characters. Rounded letters like O or C often appear smaller than straight-sided ones like H or I, and that is when they're at the same size. So skilled and seasoned designers often slightly enlarge rounded letters so they appear visually balanced when placed next to other characters. And that is if the typeface doesn't already account for this, which many do. This, of course, should only apply to titles and logo designs and not body text. In a similar way, letters with slanted sides like V or A, or curved like G, create uneven perceived spacing next to straight letters. And to the untrained eye, this might not be consciously obvious, but it still looks uneven or not right. This is why you should never rely on automatic kerning on logos or headings, and instead opt for manual kerning instead of just smashing that tracking increase or decrease button in your software. When it comes to training your eye for this first point, simply look at how different characters appear when together in headings or typographic logos, or even play around with letter combos just to see how your eye can detect any small tweaks that need to be made. Now, if a designer has really trained their eye for typography, they will be able to see and feel that kerning can also make your words feel intense, elegant, relaxed, dynamic, and so on. And here's how to use kerning strategically with everything in mind. Tight kerning works well when you want to convey strength, urgency, or modernity. It's often used in bold headlines, logos for tech companies, or athletic brands. So for example, imagine a fitness brand. They might use tight kerning on headings, say on a poster or advert, to project energy and focus, so on words like energy or push. But you do need to be cautious when doing this because you want to ensure your typography is still at least legible. Loose kerning creates a sense of luxury, calmness, or openness. It's perfect for high-end brands, wedding invitations, or minimalist designs. A luxury brand might space out letters to exude sophistication, so for example a word or logo like luxure. And I'm sure you've seen this kind of thing countless times before on designs in the past, and for good reason because it works so well. And that's the thing, to actively train your eye for typography, you do need to look at existing designs and see where these techniques have been used, how, and why. The pro tip for training your eye here is actually somewhat of a fun and non-design approach. You can use online kerning games like KernType or Type Connection to practice letter spacing. These tools provide immediate feedback, helping you develop a better sense of balance and precision in lettering spacing. And a pro tip is to challenge yourself to score above 90% consistently to refine your skills. I'm a busy man and a busy designer, and I never learned how to code. So one way that I managed to actually create websites or marketing materials that actually look good is by using Framer. One thing that helps me with saving time is the library of 700 plus templates, which gives us a lot of starting options. So for example, this 3D template is looking pretty dope. Now, like I said, with Framer, everything is just so quick and so easy, even if you're someone like myself who just doesn't want to mess around with code. And I can make social links here way more interesting compared to the static appearance they have now. And I can actually come in and add a hover effect here under the effects panel. There are some settings to play around with, but if you come up and hit play here, look how smooth and how neat this animation looks after the fact. But if you really want to draw attention to your CTAs, I like the loop effect, which constantly plays out on your site. And this will surely drive those clicks. Now, there are so many more features, more tools, and different ways to create stunning websites with Framer. And if you do want to make those cool websites, those effective websites for Framer, do click the link down below and check out Framer today. Now, you've probably already heard of typeface psychology, but we're going to look into it in a deeper, more detailed way so you can train your eye in a more advanced manner when it comes to typography. We all know about serif fonts, but what about sharp serifs specifically? Well, they have features like thin, sharp serifs and strong vertical lines that evoke tradition, authority, and elegance. These sharp serifs and thin forms can feel formal, reliable, and even sometimes imposing. A great example here is the Times New Roman typeface that is used by newspapers, giving authority and a classic tone to the content. In a similar way, luxury brands like Tiffany Co use sharp serifs to convey sophistication and authority in the industry space. And a pro tip here is to increase the sharpness of the serif choice with an increase of authority and imposing nature that you want to evoke with your typography. Totally reversing things for a minute, we can look at especially rounded sans serifs. Now, rounded sans serifs have qualities of soft edges and simple forms that make these typefaces approachable and modern. Designers need to know this stuff because we want every choice on our design to trigger certain emotions. And with these specific sans serifs, emotionally speaking, they feel friendly, youthful, and non-threatening. Google's logo uses a clean sans serif with rounded details, emphasizing approachability and simplicity. Now, if you look at the font choices that use heavy-set, thick blocks, what would you assume these can communicate emotionally and psychologically speaking? Our bold block fonts have thick, heavy lines that create a sense of stability and power. These instinctively convey strength, boldness, and confidence. Athletic brands like Nike use bold typography to inspire energy and determination. And a cool pro tip for these fonts is that you can use them for titles or CTA buttons in campaigns that aim to energize or empower the audience. But how, as a graphic designer, can you train your eye with this? Now, you need to spend more time looking at type critically and also playing around with typography. And this is really important, so if you are serious about graphic design, listen up. So for example, try placing a sharp serif font in a different layout in different situations. Observe how it interacts with other design elements on your design. Does it look right in its context, or does it play into the emotional message of your design? Evaluate designs by yourself or via peers. Ask questions like, does the typeface align with the target audience and the message? You might even want to take an existing logo or headline and redesigning it using a sharp serif font, for example, or maybe especially rounded sans serifs, and that's just to see how it vastly changes the appearance of the design and also why. Experiment with kerning, leading, and spacing and study the effect it has upon the overall design. But one very effective way to train your eye when it comes to typography is to look around in the existing world. Explore typography in real-world settings such as luxury branding, editorial design, advertising on TV or online, and authority-driven publications. Pay attention to how sharp serif fonts like Didot or Bedini are used in contexts such as luxury magazines, say Vogue, or branded logos like Tiffany Co. Notice patterns within specific industries and consider why that is. So for example, why do so many perfume brands use serif fonts on their logos? But not only just bland normal serifs. Many use subtle serifs that are not large or overly exaggerated. And here's how a trained eye of a designer would see this. Having small and subtle serifs gives the impression of delicacy and refinement. Just as each note in a fragrance is carefully blended, the subtle serifs add a layer of refinement to the typography that is intricate and delicate. Typography goes harder and deeper than most designers realize, and once you start to actively train your eye for it, the wider world of typography will open up to you. And if you want to keep your education journey moving, then just click the video on screen. But until next time, guys, design your future today. Peace.